On Verdict tonight, it's definitely a culture shock. At 9 a.m. this morning, the Home Minister personally inaugurated a biometric attendance system for everyone in his ministry. 8 hours is the minimum he expects, he said today, but not just him, the entire country expects that.
Some home truths for Chidambaram's team. The days of walking in leisurely to work at the Home Ministry are over. There is a new foolproof biometric attendance register at its gates. It will monitor the number of hours each of the 1,700 employees put in every day.
I hope that people will absorb the spirit and the purpose behind which this system has been introduced. But this is a message to the whole country that everybody must do his work for the allotted hours. I understand flexi time. We will introduce some flexibility. But the flexibility is if you come 10 or 15 minutes late, you have to work another 10 or 15 minutes. I would appeal to everyone in the Ministry of Home Affairs to cooperate with the system. CISF will keep a watchful eye over the use of the system, and we will get a feedback in about 15 days. If there's anything I have to report to you.
It has cost about 20 lakh rupees for these machines, but ministry officials say it will be made up soon by saving on overtime. The machine doesn't accept lame excuses.
It's a total workflow automation, which means basically it is a automated workflow. There's no one actually polling the data or processing, doing any kind of a processing. Basically, you select your department and say fire report, and it gives you the report,
This is one of the many steps Chidambaram has introduced to make work culture at the Home Ministry smarter. For instance, he doesn't accept any files after 5:30 p.m. Home Ministry departments like the Intelligence Bureau and the Narcotics Control Bureau have to reply to all queries within 72 hours.
Like all systems, the ministry will now have to keep a close watch on who's coming in and for how long to prevent this from becoming one of those many ideas that the ministry couldn't implement. In New Delhi, Shruti Ranjan Sen for NDTV.
So our question on Verdict tonight, Chidambaram means business, but will the Home Minister's campaign change the work culture in not just his ministry, but in our bureaucracy? SMS India Space Yes or India Space No to 56388. You can also log on to ndtv.com and join this debate live on Verdict. Well, joining me on my panel, Ajay Markan, Minister of State for Home Affairs, also Dilip Cherian, columnist. He writes his popular column Dilli Ka Babu on our bureaucrats, and KC Singh, former Secretary in the External Affairs Ministry, was also Joint Secretary at one time in charge of personnel in that ministry. Ajay Markan, thank you so much for joining us this evening. First, why did your minister think that this was needed for everyone in the ministry?
Well, it would instill a sense of punctuality and a sense of purpose, I think, amongst all the bureaucrats as well as the ministers. And it would ensure that everyone comes in time. And even though earlier also people in our ministry used to come in time, but still it would ensure that people come in time here further.
So you said, Minister, so I hope that means that both Mr. Chidambaram and the junior ministers will actually also be using that attendance system.
Well, Mr. Chidambaram has given his biometric, his thumb impression today, and we also may be doing it in due course.
Well, you're saying maybe doing it, so that's where I guess the sting in the tail lies. But let me get in KC Singh here. Mr. Singh, as a former bureaucrat, it sounds good and it's popular amongst taxpayers who say that babus have got away with too much. But in a practical purpose, do biometric attendance systems actually improve productivity?
I think there's going to be very serious problems. There are working couples, there are problems on transportation, not being able to get to office, traffic jams, rain comes in and you have a problem in the city. So you're going to have a backlog at the gate.
Tuba.com